All right. I believe we are live. Welcome, Joni. Nice to meet you. Um,
I will say it's Johnny. Everyone does.
Johnny,
Yeah.
even better. Unique, memorable. I wouldn't have thought about that the first time read it, but that's good though. So that's wonderful.
No one
Johnny,
ever.
nice to meet you. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Um, for just for just for the sake of audience and introduction, can you just let us know, a little bit about yourself? What season are you in your life right now, and what's on your heart lately?
Oh, that's a lot of questions.
It is three of them, only three though. Initially,
Let's. Uh, well, it's funny because you are hitting me at a time in my life where I'm unemployed. I lost my job
Mm,
February 2nd,
okay,
and it's one of those things where it was like it needed to happen in the
okay,
sense that I was riding three horses with one butt, and you can't do that. Like I had my career that I was working in, that I'm trying to work on,
okay,
and a family. I'm a single mom raising two kids full time. And then this book, that's part of the career. It needs a lot of love and attention right now. And so it was a blessing. It's been a blessing. I've been able to take time and be with my daughter every morning and drive her to school, and my son gets
yeah,
to sleep. And, so it's like, you know, and I knew it. I knew, like, as I was waiting for my last day to end and go to work and finish strong, because that's kind of one of my mottos is it's how you finish is just as important as how you start. You want to finish strong. And it was nice. It was nice when I got my stuff. I just got in the car and I just was like, all right, here's a new chapter. And so that's kind of where I am in life right now. So I'm
okay.
looking clarity and really trying to get some stuff done.
What did you previous do? Give me an idea of what was your
Um,
career?
yeah, so I was working at a restaurant. I was a manager there, and I was their
Okay,
recruitment specialist. So for me, my career, what I'm building towards is a relationship and communication consulting, coaching. So I want to go into companies and work with their teams to teach them how to lead properly, how to communicate with self-awareness, emotional intelligence. For me, I think a leader that can't be accountable for how they treat their staff is not a great leader, but that's all through relationships.
okay,
And my last position that I was at, thankfully, I was there and I was doing the recruitment. So I was doing all the hiring and
mm,
onboarding. And
okay,
so from the get, like how you build a relationship with your incoming employees is very important. And what I found was all the people that I hired stayed. Because, we started at the very beginning of this is not only who we are as a restaurant and a culture and what we're going to do and how we're going to behave when we're here. It's like my promise to you, but also my expectation of you. Like we're not, because so many people go into the restaurant industry, it's their first job, and it's probably one of the most toxic environments, the restaurant industry,
mm,
and it doesn't have to be, because the skills you're learning that you're going to take into whether you're a nursing student, future doctor, a lawyer, an entrepreneur, whatever stuff you're taking, you're going to learn in that service role. You're going to learn how to upsell. You're going to learn how to be passionate about the food that you're trying to sell to people. And those skills are transferable. And not a lot of people really believe or understand that. And so that was my passion, is
okay.
teaching them.
How do you're in hiring onboarding. How do you know you hired the right person? Just I'm real curious.
Honestly, I kind of just go with my gut.
Okay,
I've always had a really good sense of like talking to people and really getting to know them and asking the right questions that kind of open them up. And sometimes what you see under there, you have to, because especially, there's these, it's mostly college kids. So, they all come in, they're really nervous or they're overly confident. And it's like, okay, what I need to know from you in this conversation is, how do you feel about yourself? How do you feel? Are you teachable? Nobody's perfect, but if you're teachable, then we can really work with you. And so that's probably the biggest sign that I look for is an openness and a willingness to be heard, to hear people out and learn.
Okay.
Gotta learn.
You seem like you got a resilient path, single mom, start going into her career as far as coaching, particularly businesses on how to communicate. What's your background in that area that sort of makes you that makes this your niche?
Um, so I was a youth and young adult pastor for about 20 years. And
Okay.
when I divorced, obviously the church is like, well, you can't do that anymore. And I was like, but I
Okay.
love people. That was my passion is I loved that was what we got to do. We got to sit with people, we got to pray with people, we got to listen to what's going on in their life and then encourage them. I mean, give me that every day and I'm a happy person.
Yeah.
Um, and so after the divorce, obviously I had to find a new path. So I started working at the hospital because I was like, well, maybe I can help people there. And I
Mhm.
was the overnight unit clerk, and I just became known as the hospital therapist. People would come and talk to me and tell me like what was going on in their families, their relationships, dating. And so I've just always leaned towards helping people become the best versions of themselves through these experiences. So, if you're in a bad relationship, how do you get out of it and how do you walk away without a chip on your shoulder? I don't believe I watched my ex-husband just drown in his anger and bitterness and all of those things. And I don't want to be that way. Yeah, life gives you a lot of lemons. I get my fair share, trust me, but I don't want to be a bitter person. I don't want to take it out on my kids. I don't want it to be just so terrible that people don't want to be around me anymore. And so that's what I try to live through, but life likes to like keep testing me in that.
Right.
I
Um,
know.
it seems like you went through a lot to get where you are.
Mhm.
What's one of the hardest seasons or moments where you had to face in life?
Actually, yeah, I was just getting ready to write a blog about this. The hardest season, I've lost both my parents. My mother died, my father died, my ex-husband passed away in 2020. So I've seen a lot of death in the sense that there's that grieving process. And
Mhm.
it was definitely hard, but I think the hardest season for me was when our house burned down. My kids and I had just moved. We had been here 2 years. And so in May of 2023, the house burned down. And there was just something so unnatural about it. Where death, there is that, bodies give out, all of that kind of stuff. There's a beginning and an end. But
Yeah,
when the fire happened, I just was in so much shock because I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah,
are you kidding me? This is probably and it's so unnatural. And it just felt like I couldn't believe I was going through this. I was like, how does this even happen? And so that was probably the hardest part, not to just go through and rebuild, but to just reconcile that life like that safety, that sense of safety can be
yeah,
gone.
right.
um like I get death, I get the beginning, I get the end, but that safety that I lost was terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How does one rebuild from that point? Like, what were your steps after that point to stabilize yourself?
Well, just the basics. I had to do all the basic stuff like insurance and
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I leaned on a good friend for a while, and she set up a GoFundMe.
Okay.
But what was hard in that particular situation and what I started to realize is people struggle more when you're going through something. Like she wanted me, everyone wanted me to be okay right away.
Mm.
Like they because it was terrifying for them, because these big things that happen like that, they never imagine it could happen to you, but when it happens to someone close, they're suddenly really scared about it. And so everyone was watching me and everyone was like, how you doing? And you can only say, I'm okay for like a couple of times, but then right, yeah, then it has to start being, oh yeah, no, we're really getting good, we're doing good there. And I
Yeah.
was that's the thing is I wasn't. And I, instead of being able to be honest, I was shoving everything down because I was trying to make everyone feel better. I was trying
Yeah.
to make my kids feel good about the fact that we lost our house and mom's got everything under control. We're
Right.
figuring it out. And to do it all by myself was really hard. That
Is
was
that
the
it during that time frame, did you ever bridge into being more authentic in real time? Did that did how or and if you did, how did you do it?
I did because I had a mental breakdown. I
Mm,
really,
it's like
like
rock
I
bottom there in the head, right?
it was because I was going and going and going and just constantly trying to show up and, make sure everything was okay. And my kids were actually visiting their grandparents and I was still staying with my friend. And I should have left because I'd gotten a rental. So I was able to get like a long-term 30-day rental while we were waiting for a house.
Mhm,
And um I should have left the day that I got it, but she was like, "No, stay for dinner and hang out with me and a friend." And the whole situation went poorly. One, because I don't like it when I witness people treating their children badly, and it happened right in front of me. And so I'm already like stressed up to here. And then you want to treat your kid bad in front of me. I'm not holding back. Like I spoke up and this guy, it was their friend, and he got really offended that I would say you can't treat your child like that. Of course he's scared of you, but whatever. And so my friend got upset at me, and so I just, in the middle of the night, I just packed all my stuff. I got in my car and I drove over to where my rental for the next 30 days was going to be. And then I stayed in bed for 3 days. I just
mm,
laid in bed. I had my cat and my dog. They both laid on me for 3 days. I had food delivered, and I just broke. Like I
mm,
was like, I'm done. And then after it was, my kids got back to me, and I was able to they were able to love on me. I was able to love on them,
mhm.
and it was more real time, authentic stuff. Real time, authentic conversations. And then, of course, I wrote. I'm a big writer. Obviously, I wrote a book, so I just wrote about everything that I was feeling.
Yeah.
So that helped.
Um, tell, tell me about your book. What you got going on
Ah,
there?
yeah, it's called Burned, Blocked, and Better Than Ever. And I'm
Okay.
pretty sure I have a copy right here. It's my spirit animal is the phoenix. So it's like got this like phoenix feather on there. But it's a memoir in and of itself. It just tells my story, but from childhood up until while I was dating, because the divorce was such a big catalyst for changing. It wasn't even just, leaving the marriage. It was deciding that I was done being told who I was supposed to be. And my entire life, everything from being raised by my parents, they did the best that they could, but they had these expectations of me. And when I didn't fall into those expectations, I got kicked out. My parents, like did a bunch of things to me. Um, and every time I moved towards independence, it came at a cost. And
Mm,
usually the cost was the relationship with my family. And same thing with my ex-husband is I made the divorce because we were just so separate, and just in values. Like, and I tell this to people, I said, if I had met him at the end of our marriage, like met him who he was, I would have never married him. Never married him.
mhm.
I wouldn't have dated him. There was no way. He turned into this person that I was like, yeah, I no. And I didn't feel like I needed to be in a place in a relationship that I would have never gotten into had I known this was who he was going to turn into or turn out to be. So that's all there in the book because it's hard. It was really hard to get a divorce. It was really hard to be have that label, like I changed my life, but people didn't understand. They thought I was just doing it out of selfishness or, all of these kind of things. And I
Yeah.
just decided to be who I wanted to be. I wanted to be someone more authentic. I wanted to be someone. I didn't want to live like my ex-husband, and bitter and angry all the time. And I
Okay.
wanted our to be two happy homes. And so I basically just talk about my journey in the book, and then hopefully someone sees something in there that helps them either stay or go or change. There's lots of things we can do.
You talk about divorce. Everybody's got different values and beliefs in with regards to divorce.
Hmm.
So you believe in Jesus Christ. You're in ministry. Part of sometimes going through divorce, and I've been divorced before, so no judgment there. but what is your belief on divorce biblically? Like, what do you feel like the grounds of divorce are? Give me your world. Give me your perspective, your belief system, your knowledge on what divorce is as it relates to the biblical, the biblical reference.
Uh, that I wrestled with for a long time. And honestly, it just really came down to my relationship with God and where it stood. Because when I was getting a divorce, obviously, I was still in the church, and because I used to clean houses, one of my clients, she was sweet, she was kind, but she looked at me and she was like, God hates divorce. And in that moment, I just felt the Spirit just say, yeah, but he loves me, and I think I liken divorce to any other kind of choices that we make. He may not like it, but that's why he gave us a free will. That's why we have a relationship with him. That's why we, read and study and pray, is so that we can make choices that may not look great for everyone else, but we've done the inner work of why we're doing it. And I think so I don't biblically have a good answer for that. You know, it was really hard. We were married for 15 years, and we were in therapy with a Christian therapist for 8 of those 15 years. And at the end of it,
So get to work.
I did the work. Like,
Yeah.
I really tried. And at the end of it, our last session, my ex-husband looked at my therapist and was like, 100% of our problems is Joni. And she looked at him and was like, 100%? He was like, yeah, 100. She's like, really? And he said, okay, well, maybe like 99.9. And it was just like at that moment, she ended up emailing me and she was like, I just don't think I can help you. He is unwilling to take any kind of personal responsibility. And so it was like just little moments, little nuggets like that, where I just felt like God was like, hold on to that because it's going to help you get through. And yeah, so I definitely don't have a good biblical answer. I just think how your relationship with God will really help you through it.
Yeah, everybody makes the decisions based off of where they're sitting at in their heart, and then you have to find a way to recover from that, even if it doesn't necessarily fall up to biblical par per
Mhm.
se. We all do. Not all of us have fallen short, and we all make decisions that does it have biblical grounds? We don't know, but we're making a decision, and then we look back at it and be like, okay, I could have made a better decision, but I'm here now, kind
Yeah.
of deal. Biblically, I don't necessarily believe in divorce, even though I've been divorced. So,
Mm.
boom, bada bing. Um, but I the one thing I was going to say. So, when I was listening to your narrative, I was listening to how I've approached it, even in couples therapy, even with difficult clients. And so,
Mhm.
this is what I would tell clients. I would tell them, look, I don't believe in divorce, but I do believe in separation.
Yep.
you know, Go to your corners and figure it out. And you go, there, within my beliefs, within my connect, my denominational connection, they 100% believe you can live in separate spaces and still be married. But like, look, y'all can't get along. Go to your corners. Y'all got to be like that for the rest of y'all life. That's all right. You know, I just called it a recent conversation I had with somebody about that. I was like, look, I don't believe in divorce, but you got to live independently because y'all can't live together in the house. You got to do what you got to do. And
Not working in
so,
there.
yeah, man. So I completely understand the idea of getting to a point where people are just stubborn.
Mhm.
And my argument is that give it time, separate, give it time, and allow people to come to their senses because sometimes we're at stages of maturity. We're just immature. That's an immature moment, and boy, men like to put their foot in their mouth. Woo! I'll be the first. I'll be the first to dib in in that thing, that water there, and say some stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I come from a generation of men who put their foot in their mouth. It's like past that,
Nice.
but we try to recover. We got, we got. Anyways, been through a lot. Divorced, fired from job, bouncing back. You said you come across strong, resilient, positive. I sense a level of maturity, even emotional maturity, in your presentation. Where do you find the strength?
Mm, Obviously, my faith is definitely one, but I think for me, I when I got to decide who I wanted to be, I wanted, and I just stick to this belief every day. I want to be someone that's known for love and kindness. You know, some people want to be known for being strong or that kind of stuff. I don't want to be known for being resilient, even though my life keeps doing that to me. I just no thank you.
Life is life over there, right?
Life, and I said this in a different podcast. I was like, I have to remember that everything that I'm going through, they're not tests necessarily. They're just affirmations of who I want to be. They're opportunities for me to show up in love and kindness, to really be who I say I want to be. So, when I got let go, they kind of strung me along for about 3 weeks that, hey, maybe, we might be able to put you in a different position. And I could have easily just been like, oh, whatever, out. But I didn't. And because I just kept remembering, I literally told one of my employees that how you start or how you finish is just as important as how you start. So I want to find things, phrases, ideas, ways that I want to conduct myself
Mhm.
and be that. That's literally all it is. That's what I stick to is I want to be someone with kindness. I want to use my emotional intelligence. I want to be self-aware enough that if I'm being triggered, that I don't bring that into a conversation and hurt someone's feelings or
Mhm.
tear them down because I was triggered, like the fear
Mhm.
that I was feeling, that's for me. And you don't have to carry that fear. That's what I need to work on. And
Yeah.
so, saying all this stuff to people, I am glad that I have stories that kind of work with it. But I'm kind of I would like for my life to just be nice and calm for a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like affirmations are the way to go on your end with regards to what you're using, the repetition of affirmations. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
what.
you're you're a mother.
Mhm.
Um, uh, how has being a mother shaped your purpose and identity?
Oh, that was a big one. I think that changed because my ex-husband and I, married for 15 years. We waited until year 6 to have kids, and
Okay.
so um, once I ended up, I knew it would change my life because I always wanted to have kids.
Yeah.
Um, but the way that my ex-husband would treat my son was something that really started to separate our values.
Mhm.
He was very abusive to my son, mentally, like emotionally, not physically, but definitely emotionally. And there was the biggest catalyst was because my son was very kind-hearted, a lot like me. And my ex-husband was competitive, athletic, just very go get him, man's man kind of thing. And just him and my son clashed. They just did because Ashton would be on the soccer field and he'd kick the ball to his teammate and then he'd cheer him on. Whereas my ex-husband would be so angry that he didn't take the ball and run it down the field. And he was one of those dads that you're just like, okay, we're not gonna watch. And um he every time he tried to toughen up my son, I just remember sitting there going, I need to be a better mother to this little beautiful boy who's so kind-hearted that we don't have to toughen him up we shouldn't have to change him. We shouldn't have to change him. We just need to teach him how to live in this world. And there was a particular instance where my ex-husband was just so cruel to him, and you could see it in the picture because they had won the team had won first place, and he's holding his trophy, and he was so excited to have this trophy. He was so proud of himself, and he hadn't played a lot. He didn't, contribute a lot to the team because obviously he wasn't aggressive, but he was just so proud to have it. And he was looking at me, and I was smiling big, and he looked at his father, and his face just dropped because of the way that my husband was looking at him, because he wasn't proud that he had gotten this award. And he literally told him after, he said, "You didn't deserve that." And I was just like shocked that you would say something to a 6-year-old like that. And for me, I was like, okay, we're really starting to separate, because I can't let you continue to treat my son like that. He didn't deserve that at 6. Like, oh my God. He's so mad. But so that shaped me more than anything, is how I parent them. I hope I'm doing it right, and we'll find out when they need therapy later down the road if I did it wrong.
So yours and mine, no kidding. We're trying. We make an attempt like Evil Knievel out here sometimes. Um, I used to tell my client. I used to tell one of my kid clients that. I used to one of my kid clients back in the days when I used to do a lot of child counseling. This bad kid tell me, he wasn't bad. I mean, challenging kid. Let me reframe that. Challenging kid tell me, "I don't think you do good therapy. You're not a good therapist." And I was like, hey, I'm like Evil Knievel. I get paid for the attempt. I don't have to be perfect. I just gotta try.
Just gotta try. Yep.
Yeah. He thought he was getting underneath my skin. He thought he was cutting my self-esteem. I said, look, I will do the best I can. And if it lands, great. And if it doesn't, we'll move on. I still get paid for this now.
Yep.
Anyway,
I'll pay for your therapy later.
right. I pay, yeah, for the next therapist, right. It looks like a lot of yeah, it looks like there's a little it look like there's you're still in this process of recovering, even from trying to bridge off the identity from the divorce, because the relationship was so scathing, not only to you but to your children. And part of what I hear you saying is part of your identity and purpose is really trying to repair some of the broken relationship between the child and the father, is part of that purpose and identity. But you can correct if I'm wrong. You can that's subject to be corrected.
That was hard because since he passed away, there it was so contentious. It was during COVID. The abuse had, because my ex-husband was an alcoholic, so he would really just rail into my son. And it was actually my daughter who was the catalyst for change, because she was technically the golden child, but she would listen and hear how her brother was being treated, and she was having secondary trauma to it. And so she really couldn't handle people fighting anywhere. So like there were kids fighting at school, and she'd fall into a ball crying about it. And so there was just so much trauma that they kind of, I don't want to say, it was like a bittersweet moment where they recognized that they were free from all of that incoming hurt, but did they really miss their father as much? And so it's doing this book and publishing it and sharing the stories of what the marriage was really like. I told the kids, I was like, don't read it. I want you to stick to the few good memories that you do have of your dad. And hopefully your uncle and family, they will do a good job of reminding you about the good things. I mean, he wasn't always terrible, of course, but it just got really bad there in the end. So I don't necessarily try to reconcile their relationship with their father. I just try my best to make sure that I'm not doing a bad job on my end.
Okay, fair enough. Um, Hello. Hey, mom, how you doing? No, you don't have to. My mother's sitting right here in the background here.
Oh,
So we got no shame in the game here. Say hi, mom. Hi.
hi.
All right. No, mom, you can walk around. You good? You good? Yes. I'm visiting my family. So,
Oh,
um,
nice.
yeah. Um, you know, it seems like you've gone through a long journey, and you seem like you got yet a journey ahead of you. That uh that you're still trying to sort of overcome. I hear this woman who has overcome so much and has met an obstacle and still is in her journey of overcoming.
Hmm.
Right? Right
Yeah.
statement? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Um, what are you most proud about in your journey so far?
I'm proud that I still feel, hopefully it's true, but that I still feel like I still can light up a room with joy and,
Yeah,
um, love and kindness. That's literally all I want, love and kindness. And
I,
um,
yeah,
I feel as though through all of these situations, I have been doing that, and I'm proud of myself for that. It's not easy. It's definitely not
yeah,
easy. Um, I'm trying to finish up a couple of uh, really bad relationships that went bad in 2025, and still walk out of that with my head held high and knowing that I did my best to show up with love and kindness. Not tear someone down or anything like that. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I sense a strong sense of well-being. I sense someone who's still on her journey, but I
Mhm.
also sense someone who with a strong sense of well-being. Positive. You have a positive disposition. You seem a bit upbeat. You seem again. I can sense you got a good head on your shoulders. Um, how do you take care of your mental and emotional health today?
Uh, Today I write. I do a lot of blogging.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to get the thoughts. And that was one of the things I learned in the 8 years of therapy was I had to write. I had to
Okay.
write because one of the ways that my ex-husband would fight with me is he get in my face and just like blah 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 and just like, you know, just and I'm not really good under pressure like that. So if you ask me like 6,000 questions all at once, I'm not going to be able to like process it. I liken it to a Rolodex. Like I'm like, give me a second. I got to get all the way to the right number.
Yeah.
um, and so for me, writing has really saved my mental health. But the other thing too that has helped is I share it. When I just can't do it anymore, I do let some people know, or I'll share, it's just 2025 was really rough, and what I love seeing is people who appreciate that vulnerability and authenticity. And because, I was so miserable in my marriage for so long, I didn't know other people were. So it was like, there some seasons are really hard for people and they don't talk about it. And I want to be someone that talks about it so that they feel seen in their struggles, or they can
Yeah.
come if they're struggling, because they'll be like, oh, you're not going to judge me because you're okay with sharing the fact that you're going through something right now.
Yeah.
So
Um, have you ever struggled with anxiety, depression, or burnout,
oh
or
yeah.
even my bigger question is identity crisis, probably in this question here. Like,
um Identity crisis.
yeah, well, you
Reframe.
question yourself, question your purpose,
Oh.
question.
Oh.
I could see that going through when you got a divorce and you were no longer able to be a youth pastor. I got
Mhm.
like because you were a youth pastor for how long?
Almost 20 years.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, so major shift there, right?
Mhm.
Divorce, shifting out of ministry into what? To the unknown at that point, because your identity for 20 years is wrapped up in youth ministry,
Yeah.
right? Um, um, how does one reshape their identity from having to make that strong pivotal shift? What's the process?
I don't know how everyone else did it, but for me, I always, I guess, I don't want to fight to be in a room where I'm not welcome.
Mm,
And so it was easier to reshift into something different after the divorce and losing that pastoral role because the church completely abandoned me. I talked to maybe one or two people after the news came out, and that was it. And I was like, I've never, like my ex-husband really struggled with religious anger, mad at the church because he kept getting fired from it. And so he would always be really bitter about it. And watching him go through that just really reminded me that it's not about my faith. It is literally about how people use that role. And you either use it for good or you use it for bad or for control or kindness, like and it's that way with anything. So for me, when I couldn't be a youth pastor anymore, it was easy for me to be like, well, I'm not defined by that title because all I ever wanted to do was just sit with people and pray with them and heal them, and I can do that anywhere.
Right.
Um, so for me, it was definitely easier. Same with even losing this last job. I had so many people because I was there for like 3 weeks after they told me I was going to be let go.
Mhm.
Um, just so many people coming up to me being like, why are they letting you go? You're so good. They sent me recommendations like as my employees, and they're always glowing. Like Johnny's just, and so I was like, I don't, it's another change, but I get to be that same person everywhere I go. And that's what's most important to me. So I don't know if that really answers your question.
I think so. I think the major point that I got from this particular piece in the interview is you understanding that the title that the purpose beneath the title of anything is greater than the title itself. That
Yes.
just because you are that the elements of counseling under the title of youth pastor is something that is transferable in
Yeah.
anywhere. I think that is so important to identify when you have to make a pivotal shift is okay, what's here that is principle, that is standard, that is part of my character set and default expression of self that actually enhances this position that is actually transferable no matter where I go.
Mhm.
So I think so.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Um, do you have a daily practice that helps you keep going, that keeps you grounded, that helps you grow?
Um, no, I probably should. I think that was one of my goals that I was like, I'll get up and I'll do yoga and I no, my daily practice is laying in bed until the very last minute and I have to start my day. So maybe
There,
that's
there, there is no perfect way.
thanks.
There's only a way, the way. So, and if that works for you, I think everybody has to do what works for them. I don't think there is a recipe for success or overcoming. I think it looks different depending on who you are. So,
Yeah.
um, and in your circumstance, you probably just need a little rest right now. I would argue that that's pretty good. That's pretty good practices for his rest. So,
Okay.
I'm in agreement with that. I'm in alignment with that.
Perfect.
Um, talking about purpose, faith and purpose go hand in hand, I would imagine. What role has faith played in your survival and growth?
Um, on it's funny because when I was in pastoral school, our main pastor lady, Jeannie Mayo, she did this really cool visual, and I'm a visual learner, and she had three different people stand up in front of her, and she's talking about faith and maturing in your faith and what that should actually look like. And so
Yeah.
like person number one, she held that person's hand. She's like, this is what a new Christian looks like. This is what they need their hands hand held the entire time. You need to walk them through, you need to take care of them, that kind of stuff. But then she moved to the middle person. She's like, she stands behind them and it's like, this is where, you can reach back and I'm still here. Like I haven't left, you just kind of need to look back and see some reassurances, that kind of stuff. And then
Mhm.
she for a Christian, it is one where you just get to stand there and be so proud. You're watching, God's watching you. He's so proud. You're making decisions. You're living and breathing your faith. And that's kind of where it is for me. You know, I feel like he's proud of me and I don't have to keep looking back. I don't need him to hold my hand through it. We have walked through so many situations together that yeah, I kind of feel like he's standing behind me, just proudly watching, hopefully.
So that's a sign of maturity. Not someone as a child. I mean, the what you're describing is almost like a relationship between a child and a parent, right?
Yeah.
And and now you are an adult and mature in the faith, seasoned in the faith, and so yeah, okay. Um, is there a scripture? I think a while back ago you mentioned affirmations. Is there a scripture affirmation or life principle that keeps you grounded?
Yes. And I have it tattooed right here. First
Okay,
John 4:19. We love because he first loved us. That's
amen.
that's mine.
Yeah. What about that is signaling for you? And what is a signal?
Well, for me, and it's in the book, I had spent my entire life looking for unconditional love. And I thought if I was who everyone wanted me to be, I would find that. And obviously I didn't. And so when I came across that verse and saw it in a different light because I was in the divorce, the church had abandoned me.
Mm,
And I was, what happened, guys? I thought y'all loved me, that kind of thing.
yeah.
And it just we love because he first loved us, and that's our calling. That's my calling, love and kindness. So I love because I was loved, and I love because I wasn't required to do anything for that love. I just he loved us first, and so I'm like, okay, well, that's my call. That's who I want to be, is love and kindness, and that's because I got it first. And yeah.
The next time I talk with you, I'm going to talk with you probably maybe one, two, three, maybe nine times. I don't know. Whenever depends on what type of feedback I get from you. The next time I
Okay.
talk with you, I want to talk to you about church damage.
Okay.
Because I believe I think that in and of itself is a ministry to people. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people who've been damaged by the church. I've been damaged by the church. I've had a similar experience than you, and that touches my heart on a very profound level. And as believers in Jesus Christ who hold on to the faith, you have to figure out a way to rebound and reframe, and that in and of itself becomes its own identity, because the identity is not only sometimes attached to the position title, but attached to the church organization and the tribe. And when you remove yourself from that tribe, then that affects also my sense of identity, because now
Yeah.
I have to completely change my pattern of self. I used to
Mhm.
go to this church on Sundays and Bible study nights, and now that pattern has dramatically changed, and I have to figure out what new pattern is going to represent my walk with Christ, or
Yeah.
what new church system. But that is for another conversation. If you dare to go down that alley with me. Um, my last and final question would be: what type of legacy do you hope to leave to your children, to your community, or to your younger self?
Definitely, like I said, been saying it, love and kindness. But I want my legacy to be someone that was just genuine. I was genuine in my struggles. I was genuine in my fears. I was genuine in my growth and journey and what that looks like. Um, I'm not a good liar anyways. So I'd rather be someone that lives the truth even when it's painful. And yeah, I think those are the things I always want my kids to think of me is, you don't have to be afraid to be real. You don't have to be afraid to be, and find the people who accept you for who you are. Don't fit the mold that they're looking for. Um, yeah.
Um, how can people stay connected to you or support, or where can they find your book? You have a website.
Yep.
Uh, and if you could just restate the title of the book and all that good
Yeah.
stuff.
JoniWoods.com. It's on there. It's available Amazon, Ingram Spark, Goodreads, Barnes and Noble. You can order it from any of those spots. The title is Burned, Blocked, and Better Than Ever. And yeah, I'm on social media, TikTok, Tik, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, author Joni Woods. But yeah.
My last and final sort of question request probably is can you leave us with a final word of encouragement or truth?
Final word of encouragement. I think you get one life. You just do. So decide who you want to be and then choose it every day. Every day. And you'll be proud of yourself. Like I hate all the tests, but it's only affirmations of who I'm becoming. And I think,
Yes,
that's what I get to hold on to is every time a situation comes up and I have chosen that I want to be full of love and kindness, that I show up that way every time.
I
Yeah.
love it. Very much resonates with me. I hope it resonates with somebody else. Appreciate your time. We'll stay
Yeah.
connected,
Okay.
and then we'll possibly talk about connections later on if you like. So,
I'd love to.
all right. Well, until next time. Nice to
Okay.
meet you, Johnny.
Johnny.
I hate I hate when people mess up my names. I definitely get a little bit of anxiety to which I mess up somebody else's name. So, Johnny,
Okay.
it was nice to meet you.
It was nice.
I appreciate your energy. Appreciate your positive resolve. Appreciate even
Oh, I lost you. Oh, there
thing
you are.
froze up there.
Okay.
Yeah, it froze up there. Good gracious. I even appreciate sort of being able to sort of sit in your storyline a little bit and see some of the trials and tribulations and see how you navigate through that. So thank you for your energy today.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day and we'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.